Okay, so deepfakes, right? They're everywhere now.
Yeah, seems like it, huh?
These AI videos and audio, they're getting so real, it's kind of scary.
It is pretty wild what they can do now.
Yeah, and you sent me some sources on this, like a ton.
I did, yeah. I think you'll find
As
them interesting.
Yeah, definitely like eye-opening, for sure. I mean, everyone's seen them, right? Like the crazy movie effects or, the videos that make you question like what's even real anymore.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So today, like, let's break it all down. What are these deep fakes really? How are they made? What's the impact? And can we even tell what's real and what's fake anymore?
I don't.
And first off, like the term itself, deep fake, it's pretty clever, right?
It is, yeah.
Like deep learning, the AI stuff, and then fake, pretty straightforward.
It's right to the point.
Yeah, exactly. And the real, like the brains behind these fakes, it's often something called GANs, generative adversarial networks.
Right.
So imagine like two AI systems constantly battling it out.
Like a chess match or something.
Kinda, yeah, but way more complex. So one system, the generator, it's like a master forger, trying to create a fake video or audio that's totally believable. And the other system, the discriminator, it's like a super detective, always on the lookout for any little flaw that gives away the fake.
Makes sense. Yeah, so they're constantly trying to outsmart each other.
Exactly. And your sources really emphasize this back and forth, Every time that generator fails to fool the detective, the discriminator, it learns from its mistakes and comes back even stronger.
It's like that's how they get so good so fast.
Right. It's that constant challenge that makes these deep fakes so realistic. And the things they can create, it's mind-blowing, Face swapping someone's face onto another body, making them say things they never said, even creating completely fake people who never existed.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to know what to believe.
For sure.
Yeah.
So thinking about like the history of this tech, it's not totally new, right?
Yeah, not really, no.
Like deepfakes as a term, yeah, that's pretty recent, but the idea's been around for a while.
Right.
Like in movies, special effects.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Star Wars, Rogue One and your stuff.
Yeah, they brought back Grand Moff Tarkin. I mean, the actor had passed away years before.
Right. So they used technology similar to deepfakes to recreate him. It wasn't called that back then, but it's the same basic idea.
Yeah, showing what this tech could do, for creative purposes.
Exactly. But like we see with a lot of powerful tools, things can take a turn, towards the not so good.
Yeah, and it happened pretty quickly with deepfakes.
Yeah, for sure. Like one of the early uses that got a lot of attention and, rightfully caused concern was non-consensual adult content.
Right, using celebrity faces swapped into videos. It was a huge problem.
Huge, and obviously a major violation. It raised all these ethical questions about consent privacy and the potential for harm. It showed how deep fakes could be used to really hurt people.
Yeah, and it didn't stop there, unfortunately. As your research showed, it moved into fake news disinformation campaigns, even trying to sway elections.
Yeah, it's wild how fast it escalated. And what makes it even scarier is how easy it's becoming to make these things.
Way more accessible than it used to be.
Exactly. It's not just Hollywood studios anymore. There's open source software like Deepfake Lab tutorials online, even tools on platforms like GitHub that make it surprisingly easy to learn if you have some tech skills.
That's a key point from your research, right? That lower barrier to entry makes it a lot easier for people with bad intentions to get their hands on this tech.
For sure. So let's get back to those GANs for a second. The generator and the discriminator. We know the generator creates the fake and the discriminator tries to spot it. But how does the generator actually learn to get better?
Okay, so think of it like this. The generator makes something like a short video clip, and then the discriminator checks it outright and gives it a verdict, real or fake.
Okay.
And if the discriminator says, nope, that's fake, that feedback goes right back to the generator. And the generator uses that information to tweak its approach and try again next time.
It's like a constant feedback loop pushing the generator to be more and more convincing.
Exactly. It's like, you know how artists study the masters trying to perfect their technique?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. But at warp speed, the generator is constantly learning and improving based on what the discriminator catches.
Okay, so how does all this translate to those super realistic deep fake videos we see, like where it's almost impossible to tell it's not real?
Well, usually it starts with training the AI model on a massive amount of data about the target person. Like thousands of pictures and videos of their face from different angles, lighting expressions. The AI is basically learning every little detail of how they look and move.
So it's building a detailed map of their face and expression?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And once it's got that down, it can use that information to generate new footage where the person appears to be doing or saying things they never actually did.
It's like creating a digital puppet, but one that's so real, it's freaky.
Pretty much, yeah.
So we've talked about the scary stuff, but are there any, like, good things that can come from deepfakes?
Yeah, actually, there are some of your sources talked about that too. It's like anything else. It's a tool, and it can be used for good or bad.
Okay, so what are some of the good uses?
Well, we talked about movies and entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Special effects have come a long way thanks to this kind of technology.
Yeah.
But imagine, like, bringing historical figures to life for educational purposes.
Oh, wow. Like actually seeing and hearing them.
Yeah. Or in medicine, they're talking about creating super realistic simulations for training surgeons so they can practice complex procedures without any risk to real patients.
Those are some really interesting possibilities.
Yeah, it's not all doom and gloom, but the negative impacts are definitely what people are most worried about, and for good reason.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's dive into those a bit more. One of the biggest ones you mentioned was misinformation.
Right, and that's a huge problem. Deepfakes can really mess with our ability to trust what we see and hear. If you can't be sure a video is real, how do you know what's true?
It's like it undermines the whole idea of evidence.
Exactly. Imagine a fake video of a politician saying something outrageous right before an election.
Oh, yeah, that could totally swing things.
It could cause chaos.
Yeah.
And even if it gets debunked later, the damage might already be done.
And it's not just about big events like elections. It affects our everyday lives, too. We rely on what we see and hear to understand situations and build trust.
Absolutely. Deepfakes make that so much harder.
Okay, so then there's the security side of things. This feels particularly scary because it can be so personal.
Yeah, and security agencies are really concerned about this now, especially with voice cloning.
Voice cloning.
Like imagine getting a voicemail that sounds exactly like your boss, asking for sensitive information or telling you to transfer money.
Oh, wow.
It's already happening, and it's incredibly hard to detect.
That's terrifying. It's like this isn't just some abstract threat anymore. It could directly impact anyone.
Exactly.
Okay. And your sources also talked about the legal challenges with deepfakes. It seems like the laws are having trouble keeping up.
They are, yeah. Our legal system is built on the idea that you can trust evidence, But what happens when the evidence itself can be faked?
Right. It throws everything into question.
Exactly. Like, how do you prove defamation if a video can be completely fabricated? Or how do you deal with consent when someone's image is being used without their permission to create something totally fake? These are tough questions that the courts are still figuring out.
It's a whole new world of legal gray areas.
Pretty much.
So with all that said, is there anything we can do? Like, how can we even try to spot these deepfakes before they cause harm?
That's the million-dollar question. There's no foolproof method yet, but researchers are working on some promising AI detection tools.
AI to fight AI. That's interesting. How do they work?
Basically, they look for tiny inconsistencies that often slip through in deepfakes, even the really good ones.
Okay, so what kind of inconsistencies?
Well, for example, blinking patterns in real videos. People
Yeah.
blink in a natural way, but deepfakes sometimes mess that up.
Oh, I see.
Or the way the mouth moves. It might not sync perfectly with the audio. Or the lighting and shadows might not look quite right.
It's like they're learning to see the tiny flaws that betray the fake.
Exactly. And some of the more advanced tools actually analyze the digital data of the video itself, looking for signs of manipulation.
That's pretty cool. But you also mentioned something about blockchain technology being used for detection. How does that work?
So blockchain is all about creating a permanent record that can't be tampered with. It's like a digital ledger that everyone can see, but no one can change.
Okay.
So the idea is you could register original videos or audio on a blockchain, giving them a unique digital fingerprint.
Ah, so if someone tries to pass off a deepfake as the original, you can check if it has that fingerprint.
Right. If it doesn't, that's a huge red flag.
That's actually a really clever way to verify authenticity.
Yeah, it's still early days, but it has potential.
But it seems like this is going to be a constant back and forth, right?
Right.
As deepfakes get better, the detectors have to keep up.
It's definitely a cat and mouse game. The deepfake creators come up with new tricks, and the detectors have to adapt.
So what do you think the future holds for deepfakes? Are we headed towards a world where we can't trust anything we see online?
That's a scary thought, but I don't think it's inevitable. I think we'll see improvements on both sides. Deepfakes will get more realistic, but detection will get better too. It's a constant race.
And what about laws? Are governments doing anything to try to control this?
They're starting to, yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of discussions happening about making laws specifically against using deepfakes for harmful purposes, like spreading misinformation or fraud.
But laws are hard to enforce online, especially across borders.
That's true. It'll take international cooperation to really make a difference.
It sounds like a very complex problem with no easy solutions.
But we talked about some potential benefits too, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like those training simulations for medicine and emergency response.
Those sound really promising.
And think about historical preservation. Being able to see and hear historical figures come to life in a way that feels real. That would be amazing.
It all comes back to how the technology is used.
Yeah.
It has the potential for good and bad.
So to wrap things up, we've talked about the origins of deepfakes, the technology behind them, their impact on society, and the ways we're trying to fight back. It's a lot to take in.
It is. It's a rapidly evolving field that's changing how we think about truth and reality.
For sure. And it's something we all need to be aware of.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. This tech is already out there. It's affecting how we consume information, how we interact with each other, and it's only going to become more powerful.
So what does this mean for you going forward? How will you approach the information you see online, knowing that deepfakes exist? How will you decide what's real and what's not? These are questions we all have to grapple with now.
They are. And there's no easy answer.
Well, this has been a fascinating and kind of unsettling conversation. Thanks for sharing your expertise.
No problem. You had some great sources.
We'll have to do this again sometime. The world of deepfakes is clearly not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, it's here to stay.
All right, thanks again.
You're welcome.